Okay, we won't be having... Yeah, it's standard first game in a series glitch. Not going to be having the leader abilities or visible or the coin bank for Syndicate, which is very unfortunate. It's always Syndicate in the first game in these kind of situations. But I can tell you that we do have the Tiger's Eye being clicked along with the Madam Mucky's Serenity. A Beggar's Refund means that Bullet is up to the 9 coins in bank right now. So yeah, it's Bullet on the bottom because they're the only one running Jackpot, and Darren on top with the Melitele. Them event being used on Winch, Cincinnati and Avoiding Fortune Teller. Yeah, as I said, kind of just using that to get rid of units in your deck. Swiftly answered though. Granted, that really is the only guaranteed answer. It would have been a 50-50 if you tried to use a Brawler. But yeah, good luck trying to play into this sort of round. You have Madam Marquis Serenity as well as her bronze, for lack of a better term, hookers. And then the Boston Freak Show coming out. Just kill any pesky little units being played. So you wouldn't want to try sticking Estrid or Snowdrop, even if you actually had them in hand right now. Tax Collector, decent little bronze engine. Doesn't care if you have a profit in a jackpot list. And note the nice little placement going to the left of the passive peaches to help get that horde secured. We do actually see the Radovid coming down. I like it coming down at this point of the... because it means that if Bullet wants to answer the Radovid, they aren't able to go for the Temper Pass here. So with the Novigrad coming down, it does kind of single or foretell a round 2 bleed coming on, because you want to make use of the resilience. And yeah, it does clean up the Radovid, so we'll be sitting at 3 leader charges on the pincer maneuver. And I'm not sure on the status of the coins. See candle coming down, which is pretty standard start. You love having the candle in the round 2 because it enables you to let me just try and get some name tags out. Alright, okay, so we saw the immediate verification answering the candle. So it looks like Darren might be trying to just limit the spenders that Bullet is able to play here. But the problem is, that's a negative 6 points of temper. And then we see the Sewer Raiders coming out because the Horde 4 is obviously secured along with the profit from the candle. And then the Horde 9 bringing out the boat. So yeah, that's a lot of points now that Darren is already behind. Although Istrid into a leader onto the Melitele is quite nice. And does actually spawn a front row out who's a student. Little unlucky on that roll. Yeah, and you know how it was actually pretty important there to get more than 9 points onto the board, so that a bare knuckle brawler wouldn't be able to wipe out the Istrid straight away. Still though, depending on what Novigrad pulls potentially, it could be possible to see a board wipe coming. We've even seen early, I don't think you'd go for an early leader here, but setting up a brawler this turn is quite nice. Because it means that then the next turn you could maybe go for a Captain Yago with leader to just board wipe essentially. Offering in hand is very, very nice here for Darren to ensure that that is not a possibility. Goodbye to the brawler. And yeah, the Istrid click is forced here. I guess a little scared of perhaps a second brawler coming out. Brawler is, yeah, okay, yeah, he is back to 4 prop, so it is a possible roll from the Eventide plot. Poison could be interesting here, just to sort of get a kill onto the Istrid. And look, technically you don't need the failed experiment, but it can be nice just to try and dodge any potential poisons or replays. But granted, you may have wanted an actually good spender, which is why I see the street urchins being played. 1 for 1 is always nice, just to ensure you're able to make the most out of all your coins. But it will play into the spores if you go too tall. And the fact that you're the one pushing means you will always be vulnerable to that tall punish, since Darwin will have last say within this round itself. Here comes the Snowdrop. This is probably the premier poison target. Finds another mentor. Gonna be keeping that in hand. Now it's only the Germain along with your 2 units you actually want to have kept in deck. Actually just the Heatwave being used on the Snowdrop. I would have thought would have been fine to slow play with the poison, but opting to just get rid of that here. Yeah. Not at the adrenaline for these mentors yet, but it is still good enough to draw the Melitele, finally completing the first cycle, and go again. Yeah, not icon yet. Spending a lot on the street urchins is somewhat forced, because the Novigrad does not synergize with that Jackpot leader ability. Yeah, and you notice that the spores is the one special being kept in hand, because it will go for huge points on the street urchins. Especially if this Jackpot Yargo is used without another spender. Quite risky to be going all in on these street urchins. You also haven't seen the Novigrad clicked yet. That though, Istrid succumbs to the poisons. This tech being dealt throughout the North realms, and despite being a quite knowledgeable mage, Istrid didn't know any better. Yeah. This is, I think, the 4th mentor being played this round. Interesting pulls on the Shady Vendor. How many gangs do we have? We have Blind Eyes, Hide Cloaks. Okay, there's 2 gangs. You're not really getting good CS2. Otherwise, it's really not amazing. I don't think Eavesdrop is super great here. Purge is 3 damage. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe Eavesdrop just for the profit. But, like, if depending on what you hit, it could be great. You actually see a Purge, I mean. I don't think you'll be able to collect on the bounty, but it's alright. And yeah, actually with the Shady Vendor coming out, we do see the 2nd spender, and this will help protect against the spores. Finally, Germain comes into the hand. I'm curious if we do see the spores being kept. We do. We actually see the Chaos Saren being mulliganed there, saying that I do need the spores. I mean, right now it is a 12-point play, and this Germain is going to be able to be used with the leaders to get the Melitele wide board buff. Of course, Blacksmith is a pretty good spender roll here. 6 points in of itself, and also just ensures that you don't need to play any harder into spores on either of these cards. So notice boosting the King Beggars as 12 boost right now. Only that's tying it with the spores value on the street urchins, making use of the open deck lists. 11 boost with the overprofit on the Captain Yargo. Yeah, really just trying to minimize the spores value weight. Okay, but then decides to spend on the street urchins a bit more anyways. That feels a bit strange. But this is quite a big point gap. I don't know if the Melitele alone is enough to make this up. May not have gone backward. I think Darwin is gonna run out of space here. think there's one leader left. Yeah, it doesn't get the actual volunteer here. Like, that's a 2-point loss. I think actually more like a 3-point loss, because... Oh no, 4-point loss. This is when we're boosting all the units by 2. Yeah, that's a bit of a mistake. Not that it would have made the difference here. Still would have been a 5-point loss in that case. But, look, if you were able to make it through that round, I think the Melitele would be winning that short round. Because the Melitele and the Priestess would just be... if you're able to actually get access to them. But it's not the case. Bullet able to take that, and this is a bit interesting because Bullet did miss both the Soul and the H&A on that round 2 bleed. Those would have been some very scary engines to have access to. But yeah, that's a 1 up now for Bullet. And hopefully we don't need my makeshift name tags here. Because yeah, it would be nice if our Tony client can properly work and show us these leader icons. Now is when I'd be expecting the Deathwish to be coming out for Darren, making use of the blue coin and the access to the stratagem. And this does mean that there's a red coin chance for Bullet. I think this is a decent time to go for the Enslave, especially if you're expecting the Deathwish to come through. With triple toll punishes as well as the Enslave, I think you should have a decent time. Also you have a lock and... Oh, by the way, Cyprian Wiley does banish. Granted, it's only 4 power or less unless you're able to combine it with some previous damage. Maybe set it up on like a succubus or something. But yeah, that could be interesting. Instead, it is the Enslave queue, but maybe expecting that Darren doesn't go for the monsters, opts instead for this Deadeye ambush. However, I don't know if this is much better. Because we do have... Oh, granted, only the Envil in hand right now. Heatwave and Vigor Forts are missing for Bullet. And with the Angus and the Vanadane both at 6 power, they are quite vulnerable to the Enslave leader ability. I don't think I mentioned in the deck phase, but we do have double Lightmaker, this new card list. If you're able to actually, you know, draw them, particularly around 1, they're great at just having very nice point stun in contesting. But also, since the Black Makers are more expensive than the Mage Assassins, you're not going to be breaking with them in the sort of round 2, round 3 if you draw into them later. Yeah, see the Cursed Scroll drawing into the Heist. You really don't want to be using Arcane Tome in this matchup because you just kind of guarantee access to a Heat Wave for Bullet. And with nothing needed to be answered here, this is the turn you play the Calvi. And look, you should be playing Angus onto the front row because you know assassination exists. But mistakes do happen. Okay. But opting to just delay the Angus a little bit and just use the tricks to set up a little bit of an engine value on the infusion. Instead we have longing for Vanadane, I would say, for Darren here. Yeah, Curse Scroll only able to help so much with your draws. I should probably show you the options for Diplomacy. Circle Life, not amazing. Goes for the Bright-Headed Officer. Surprised we didn't actually see the special. Okay, maybe it's... I think the special would have been quite a nice point, especially since you can re-trigger it. Potentially get carryover. However, the Bright-Headed Officer does help actually kill off a Neophyte, and ensures that the second Neophyte can't be replayed with the cargo since that one was not doomed as it was spawned. Now comes down the Angus, and the Angus gets stolen. I don't think Bullet wants to play the Angus themselves. but it is quite a valuable card to answer because now these two cargoes remaining on board, I don't think they're filled with much very good stuff. I mean, you've seen the art's vegetables, but I think those vegetables might be a little bit spoiled. I was expecting to just see the cargoes being spammed on the neophytes that were spawned. This is looking like a very possible loss on the bullet. Oh, sorry, for Darren. Might be able to play long enough in the round to force out Wanderers at the very least. The interesting thing I find with Wanderers in this deck is there is no card draw. No like sort of shuffling cards back into the deck or anything of the sort. You can't really delay the Wanderers coming out in this kind of situation. It is going to come out in 2 turns. Nothing Bullet does can stop that. See the assassination there coming down on the Trickster. I don't think it would have been an amazing replay target with Cargo, but that is 1 less elf. Bit of a sad Purify, just getting rid of that Doom. See the transforms coming through. 1 Cargo. I believe the second Cargo could be used on the other Neophyte, and unless you're committing Verna or Simlas into this round, I don't think you're... Yeah. So that makes sense. Calvi does end up dying. Both those Elves being played and replayed. Next turn could be kind of decent as well here for Bullet. You can use a few of these Scoia'tael and the Light Transform still. Although you don't really want to play the Waylay, you could maybe go for the Full Trap. The saving value for the round 2 when you have an all-gold hand for Bullet would be kind of nice. Although you really would like to play, you know, 1 more turn and get ahead, because that would either force a pass prematurely from Bullet or get the Wanderers out. I will say though, there is a lot of Toll Punish in this Nilfgaard deck, not a lot of wide punish. So even though the Angus is dead and Vanadane is MIA, it's definitely not over for the Square. The fact that they just go super wide does make it pretty hard for Bullet to sort of effectively deal with those points. And look, even with just 4 Waylays, oh, I guess, well, 2 right now, but I would expect the Vanadane to make it 4. And actually not able to get ahead here for Bullet. Oh. Okay. Yeah, so, Darren offering the pass up, and yeah, Bullet just says, sure, I'll take that, I'm gonna get my golds. And I can mulligan this Diplo, maybe mulligan, okay, I can keep this Sergeant, probably mulligan the Lock instead. I can get all my good stuff. You still haven't played Vanadane, your Simlas is not good. But yeah, I'll take that pass. Be my guest. And note that the Wanderers, I guess actually kind of does have a bit of synergy with the Calvi, because what it draws isn't random, it will be whatever the top deck is, which in this case would be, I guess, Vilgefortz, but then after that you'd be getting access to either the Cyprian Wily or the Lydia. You see the Lock traded out for the Vilgefortz. Technically Mulligans actually could be going on top of the deck as well, so maybe needs to be careful of that. Yes, here comes the Mushy Truffle to start with. Suppose it's just the Neophyte being played, even though I don't expect you to get much value out of the transform. Actually keeps the Angus, which is funny. Not sure it was mulliganed, but low-key I would take a Diplomancy over the Angus. Yeah, you do see the highest actually being kept here, which seems a bit strange to me, because anything of high value is just going to be killed. I could see it actually being valuable if you had like a Neophyte to be using it with, but it's not the case. You're not getting any value out of the highest here, right? Like, you're facing Enslave, Heatwave, and Vilgefortz, and you know all 3 of those are coming out this round. So this is when Pitfall Trap actually does become pretty decent. Because yeah, the Ramon coming out, it is going to be 10 damage, and not that much armor. Oh, actually, sorry, I wasn't playing that. I was just incinerating Trap right now. Maybe waiting on it isn't going to pay off here, because that does let a bit more armor be developed here for Bullet. Note the row stacking, there's no crushing traps, it's completely free to do. So, and just ensuring Mushy Truffle will have 3 targets to boost up. Arcane Tome coming out for Call of the Forest. This does give access to the Riordan, play the Deception and the Vanadane, I suppose. And look, in theory this is a really nice play, because this does set up 2 threats at 1 turn with the Riordan and the Vanadane. Normally only one could be answered at once, to be able to replay the other with the cargo. Actually goes to the Isengrim instead of the Vanadane. I guess you'd just be getting waylays in your hand, you don't have much good stuff. It wouldn't help St. Jazz with similar, so okay, that makes sense actually. My point still stands, you have 2 valuable targets. Problem is though, Bullet just very easily can leader, Heatwave, Vilgefortz. Luckily an assassination was played, otherwise the Isengrim would be assassinated with this tome being clicked. And I think that Bullet would know this is a pretty free tome to click. You have more bronze specials you can actually play. You'd know that all that is left in deck here for Darwin is the 2 waylays and the spores. Actually, okay, never mind. Spores is good. You'd be given a 10-point Spores over. The question is, are 2 of your specials worth at least 10 points? The answer is probably yes. So you see Vilgefortz answering the Riordan. I'd be very surprised if the leader isn't used on the Isengrim. That is not the case. Isengrim gets to stay. And it can be replayed. What are you actually caring about answering? What, like the Vanadane, Venosial, and I'd say the Isengrim? Like that's 3 things you want to answer? You have, okay, I guess just Leader and Heatwave. Maybe thinking it's more important to answer the Vanadane and the Venosial, letting the Isengrim live? Yeah, this just allows us to see the Simulus into double Waylay, which sets up 3 elves. Even maybe some leaders coming out if we replay the Isengrim. I'm actually a bit surprised we didn't see more leaders coming down for the first time the Isengrim was played. Yeah, this does enable very nice play here, and yes, Isengrim is doomed, but there's a Sappers in hand. So, still under a bit of threat to kill this Isengrim. Yeah, I wonder if Bullet will respect the possibility of the Purify. This is a deception. And that is actually the hero coming down on the deception. Because that would spawn 3 Deadeyes. Each of those Deadeyes would be 4 power. A bit more damage with that Venosial. So... okay, we do just see Purify coming down this turn, saving Venosial for the second last turn. Doesn't replay the Isengrim. To be fair, it is safe. I think you can basically guess what the hand is for your opponent here. Being the Cyprian Wily, which doesn't help set up a leader in the Norska, which also doesn't even interact with the opponent's board. So Cyprian killing the Sappers. See the truffle being pressed. Pretty sure you're meant to replay the Isengrim before the Venosial, because you lost out on. Actually, oh, it doesn't matter. Actually, the Venosial gets boosted when you replay it, rather than boosting the Isengrim initially, and so that is actually a win. Let's go ahead and tell here. So despite a lot of what they're doing getting answered, the Nilfgaard is just not able to stand up in terms of points. and the Elves just going wide enough that Bullet's answers just aren't hitting much. Like, that Super Wily played for 9 points, when arguably more value was being achieved out of the 4 provision Purify. I do think that Bullet potentially misplaced a few of those Toll Punishers and those answers. I'm not sure why Isengrim stuck around for so long. But yes, that does mean that the series is now tied up 1-1. And yeah, we have a series on our hands. Definitely have a series on our hands. Okay, so probably the best blue coin deck out of Bullet was that Jackpot, which we already have seen come out. Might be time to have the Shoop Temple being played. Yeah, it's actually a pincer maneuver mirror. All of these decks are very much not the same. Bullet basically just plays this leader to get access to whatever temple spawns. Whereas Darren actually plays the leader because of the synergy with Melitele. Does actually find the Melitele in this round 1 mulligan phase, able to get a bit of initial value. We'd love to see that as the Melitele player. And you also love to see the Mish Generator and Temple and Rune Mage in your starting hand here as Bullet. Probably the only cherry on top would have been having your Iris Companions combo, but otherwise I don't think you can complain too much. And this is probably where Darren would have snapped the verification straight away if they had access to it. Unfortunately for them, it is missing. And the only way to gain access to it is through the demo event, which we will probably be seeing. Yeah, so verification, Fortune Teller, and Century Envoy. I think we're seeing similar 4P units being chosen, and verification is sort of the additional special. The rest of the units you actually want to be playing. Problem is, the Margarita is actually guaranteed access here for Bullet, and I don't believe there's even a Purify here for Darren. Yeah, there's, like, it's interesting to see. No Redanian Secret Service in this deck. Demavend is answered, but 1 lock on Demavend means that Istrid is able to stick. Now, there is a Boiling Oil in hand for Bullet. Could see the death blow being used to purify Demavend, that would be hilarious. And you see Rune Mage into Square Runestone, into Bountiful Harvest, into some alright pulls. Probably you'll just take the Neophyte here, because it is a 4 provision unit. Like, yes, maybe some of the other units could have played for more value, but you want the 4 provision unit because that actually gives you the carryover on your Mish Generator when playing on the back row. And each unit you play there, that's an extra 5 points on your Erland later on. Yeah, with no Curse of Corruption, there's no answer for the Erland for Darren. Here comes Radabid. Again, with the lock gone, no real answer for that. I guess technically Shoop lock could be a thing, but yeah, we see there is no Shoop. And comes Temple. Okay, missed those first. Braxis is a pretty big find. I don't think Anses is really being dealt with. Baron 2 is pretty sweet, I'd say. Maybe an argument to go for the Dijkstra. Okay, yeah, so it is Anses, Dijkstra, and Baron. So, oh, sorry. Dijkstra, Baron, and Vraxis. One of those two was also found in the first set of choices. So, pretty good pulls, I'd say. Especially in this matchup, the Baron and the Vraxis can absolutely pop off. Because like in a late round 3, you tend to have a few units going super tall, especially if a bleed comes through in the round 2. Not bad Istrid. Finding access to that Snowdrop and the Decree is really, really nice. Granted, Necromancy you probably don't really want right now. You see immediately going back to the deck. But yeah, this looks like it potentially. And the way I see this round going is that I don't see Bullet winning unless the Ansace is committed. Probably a loss on even if Ansace is not. Probably not the best spawn there, pulling the Centurion Knight. Ansace comes into hand. What are we putting back here? Probably just Scout? Not sure Squirrel is doing much here. The Graveyard Punish isn't amazing. Actually surprised. Oh, I think actually the Scout did have 1 boost on it. Save that later for the Erland, I suppose. The Kree coming for a Dahlia. Just using this to copy a Mentor early on here. This does set up some value for the teleportations as well. Pretty nice draw finding the Priestess, which is especially nice since the Istrid is still on board and not lucked. Good to see the draw coming through on the Gascon, let's say. Oh, so Gascon. Germain. Yeah, and you do see that being kept. Kind of need to keep the Germains. The only units remaining on now are the Traveling Priestess and the Melitele. Otherwise, there is the teleportation still in hand, saying, I can afford to keep the reinforcements for later on. Particularly, they still work if you Necromancy into a Mentor. Teleportation, I don't need the points. The difference in getting an extra body isn't gonna really decide this round. Aaron kind of saying there. As Bullet, still slow playing, just getting those 4 provision units down. Actually opts to not use the Squire click, playing the Cursed Knight. Either saving that as carryover, or saving that to play onto the Ansace. You see Mentor being replayed, guaranteed to hit both the Melitele and the Priestess now. Pretty sad Squirrel, that does help get the deck boost, and yeah, now is the time to click the Squire. You either do end up playing the Ansace next turn, which gets the boost as you wanted, helps it with the duel against the Snowdrop, or you're able to save the carrot boost as carryover to boost the first unit played next round. This is maybe a decent pass, because the first set of Melitele board boosting is out, everything boosted by 1. And you're down 28 points. I'm happy to go 2 cards down though. Happy to commit the Ansace to win this. Now the question is, do you play the Mentor, or do you just say, okay, fine, give me your Ansace. I think I have enough to win with Melitele power in a long round. Problem is, if you have first say, good luck playing Germain into Shoop 13 damage. But if you're able to trigger like a Melitele boost on your board by 2, then maybe suddenly you don't care so much. Even if you get Shoop 13 damage or Shoop 3 deal 3, you're still going to have enough of a board and probably enough shuffles to get a 3 boost to the whole board. But instead it is the commitment coming through, the Mentor saying, I'm not going to give the round up that easily, I still have the Snowdrop. Your Ansace probably isn't even that great during the Snowdrop. And yeah, this does force this out. So, Melitele is now at counter 3. So, close to the start of the cycle. Iris is found in hand. Decent dry pass. Baron is quite good, although not really until the very end of the game. Actually, not a great draw with the Priestess there because it means the location until Mentor isn't amazing. Although we could be seeing, yeah, reinforcements being drawn, so that is a viable option there onto the Mentor coming from KSR. Yeah, and it is a bit sad seeing the Squire Fusion not coming into play because the boost is wasted on the Iris, who is obviously not a knight. And yeah, with the Germain coming down, this is a super hard bleed. Wide board. Let's say this is going to be the 2 boost to everything. And with the leader and reinforcements, we could even see a 3 boost coming through. Germain getting answered by the Enslave Setzer. I don't think that's a worthy dual target, let's just say that much. Here come the Mentor, reinforcing the board here. Huge Priestess and Melitele. Like, absolutely huge. Vincent coming onto the long row. Granted, I don't think it would have had a non-boosted unit to target. But hey, did get power off, so now it's a 3 power bad roll rather than a 2 power bad roll. Yeah. Probably would have needed some super shenanigans to catch up nicely here for Bullet. But this Baron not looking so hot. You could get a Varaxis, but again, this is just a super wide board. It's actually the interesting thing here. The Melitele and the Skoya going super wide. And, I mean, granted, Bullet created the wide punishes, sorry, the tall punishes in this game, not actually sort of main decking this Baron and the Varaxis. But still, like, these tall punishes just not finding the value. And that very well could come down to harm Bullet quite badly. Because they still haven't played their out of it, which is but it feels like they've still managed to get access to a lot of the main Northern Realms golds they would have wanted. Yeah, they're not really missing any Northern Realms gold. Unless they maybe... Oh, actually, going for the Varaxis here means you don't get to play the Erland. So if you play the Erland here, probably do just lose round 3 anyways. I guess you need to just try to survive the bleed here, but very nice smoke them out, giving 2 bodies, which are each going to be boosted by 3 from the Melitele after these 2 leaders are used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 13 units here. 13 times 3, say 39 point increase. And yeah, I think even with an Erland, you would maybe barely caught up. Considering the Iris carryover wasn't even achieved. So yeah, that is the Melitele going through. Second time lucky and able to beat the other Northern Realms list. Baron taken the lead. Now needs to actually play this Deathwish we haven't seen yet, and has 2 chances now to get a win for that Deathwish list. This is the one that I could see having a bit more of a difficult time, especially against that Nilfgaard. Oh gosh, Phoenix into the Nilfgaard is terrible, because because the Phoenix could just be enslaved and then the opponent uses it, or can get Yenvod if they don't want to use the leader early. Oh, the Phoenix. Yeah, no, that's gonna be atrocious. Okay, and yes, this is... I think makes sense. Deathwish should expect to be stronger on the blue coin here. The Bullet decides to take what should be their stronger deck into Deathwish, which is this Nilfgaard. And... look, the one saving grace is that despite having, you know, the Enslave leader, the banishing the Heatwave, the pseudo banishing the Envo, and the much weaker banish of the Cyprian Wily, there's actually no direct graveyard punish here for Bullet. So if you are able to get the Dagon into the graveyard, the infusions will stick around. At least if you're able to... I mean, actually there's only one lock, so... oh, well, granted. I think this... oh, this is the Dagon. Yeah. This Dagon is in hand. Bridge Troll, Foglet getting infusions, as well as the Dettlaff and the AQ. Looks like both Cursed... both Giant Toads are in hand, as well as one of the Succubus. Which is... it is a kind of reassurance to have a Succubus in hand. It ensures you're not going to pull two of them out with your Brewers Ritual. Would not be surprised to see Whispering Hillock into the Brewers Ritual coming out here. And this is actually where the Cyprian Wily would probably have been ideal in this matchup. When there's a bunch of these 4-power Deathwish units, Cyprian Wily is able to secure the kill and not trigger the Deathwish. Also able to get rid of the infusions, like say you banish this Bridge Troll. Not only does it not get the Deathwish, but that's one of the Dagon infusions gone and not able to be used up. And considering you need to worship Dagon 4 times to have the Call of the Depths be activated, that means that every single other infusion has to be activated, which can force a bit of an overcommit on consumes. Interesting decree. I think you can even just go for this Foglet, kind of opposite the opposing Foglet. Instead goes for the Ice Trot. I don't see an easy way to gain Might. Oh, it's Enslave 5. Game's silly. So, yeah, someone in chat, 5Kedis said that for the Square game. Okay, yeah, it's Enslave 5. That kind of changed how the Square game should have probably ended up. Wouldn't have changed the round 1, really. But the leader still could have been used on the Isengrim thing. Because is Isengrim 5 by default? Or say for the Venosula, if you were scared of that, so you should have just Heatwaved the Isengrim? Yeah. Okay, yeah, so it is only Enslave 5, so only able to steal a Succubus and not a Dettlaff. We do see the round being secured here for the Deathwish quite easily. Sets up the 2 Giant Toads in the graveyard already, and Dagon has been worshipped twice. Only needs to, eat the AQ, as well as the Dettlaff and the Dagon will be back. Okay. Wait. You actually see the Phoenix was played? Hold on, I missed that. Wait, decreed into the Phoenix. Okay, with the Vitality you are safe against the Enslave, but not against the Envo. But what is this? Okay, so you saw the Dettlaff coming down. Toad eats it, immediately Heatwaved, just not even thinking about the Heatwave there for Bullet. With the Dettlaff not being a viable choice for the AQ and the Succubus probably taking a little to get the Adrenaline active, we instead see the Ruckus Queen being used on Phoenix to establish more carryover for the round 3. Nice thing is that the Dagon infusion does get this Phoenix up to 7. It's out of range of the Enslave 7. Dagon did come out immediately. Dagon did get Vilgefortz, however. So trying to use the Vigor Forts to cut down on the number of consumes that Darwin is able to get use out of. Does find the Drag Warrior, which is... it's alright. Maybe would have preferred to get either the riders, like one of the riders out, because that would have been really nice to break up. Yeah, Enslave onto the Succubus makes complete sense here. Could be seeing a Yenvo onto the Phoenix. Deny the carryover. Is a little bit slow, however. Truffle coming down to set up a illusionist. The only soldier in hand is an illusionist. That's the only viable Ramon target right now. Like this, Succubus coming down, instant leader to at least get some guaranteed value early on here. This does kind of fork the Envo between either the Phoenix carryover or the Succubus points coming through this round. Yeah, I mean, there's really no way to get consumes for Bullet. I don't see Illusionists getting much value. That would just be an actual, like, line. I'm gonna say, yeah, sort of. Okay. I disrupt my chain of thought to say, wow, a bloody effigy banishing a Succubus. That's a 5-point bronze special. I'm just dealing with this opposing Succubus. Absolute high roll there for Bullet. Now the Succubus has its adrenaline, but it doesn't have the bonded. So without any other Succubuses to set up a harem, it's not able to do Succubus things. Okay. And yeah. Here comes the Mushy Truffle onto the Selena Harpy. I don't think there's really any Death Wishes currently remaining for Darren to actually do things. You can use the Bonded on the Slainer Harpies to actually get the Harpy Egg, which looks like that's most likely going to be the choice coming out here. Could have actually also spawned another Succubus. I'm surprised that was not done, but maybe thinking there just wasn't enough consumes for that to be viable. You'll get enough value with your consume ways by getting the Bonded on the Slainer Harpy. I don't know. Maybe just thinking that I'll be playing too hard into a lock or a Yenvo. Yeah, this is just going to be the lock coming through. So actually maybe decided that the Slainer Harpy was used to consume the Phoenix. That does help protect against the Yenvo. Yenvo can't be used on the Phoenix, can't deny that carryover. Because, as I did mention earlier, there is no actual direct graveyard punch. There is a lot of banishes, or in the case of Yenvo, kind of a pseudo-banish. But not enough to properly deny that carryover. Yenvo not enough to get ahead here. Instead we're going to see this Illusionist be committed, and that will do the trick here. So, Bullet not able to get that quad advantage despite spending quite a few bronzes. We'll have a hand off Ramon Sergeant Blightmaker, however, which is quite scary. But they will be up against the carryover of Double Phoenix. Both players have Mushy Truffle, and there is the Dol Du Lock here, which is 2 points of carryover. No, I don't think it would even really help you get 3 units in a row for the Mushy Truffle either. So, I don't see these riders actually finding any value here, really. Because knowing the riders exist, and also there's no units for the Lightmakers to damage, there's basically no reason you don't have Lasse either. You just start with the Ramon here. That does give the dominance over to Bullet, and I don't really see... actually, no. You can get a 10-point unit here as Darren by using the Mushy Truffle boost as well as your Overwhelming Hunger leader. I guess also the Slainer Harpy would be able to secure boost too. Glaive on Nausicaa, sure it is the top unit, but there's not one. Anyways. Yeah. This is the thing. Yes, you have the Phoenix Carryover, but your hand is a lot worse than the hand of Bullet here. It's one Blightmaker. Also, this Blightmaker does sort of make it even harder for Darren to actually secure that dominance. Granted, you can eat the Phoenix. Might want to click the Phoenix back or eat it with Slain Harpy to guarantee you get those 3 units in a row. That sounds like a decent line of play to me. Yeah, like this is a 26-point gap. I know that Bullet has clicked their truffle. There is, what, like 10, 18, 21 points sort of sitting on board here for Darren. Actually, not bad. But still, this Blightmaker is playing for, what, 12? I think of... No, 11. 11. Just I mean, yeah, almost as much as both cards combined in Darren's hand would put out if he is able to get that dominance through here. I think even with dominance it wouldn't be enough here regardless. You do lose 2 points on the truffle. Could have been saved maybe by eating the back row Phoenix or a bit of better placement with the other location technically there. Still, you're only gaining back 2 points. Still would be a win there for Book. So that was perhaps closer than I expected that to go. But that is the probably expected win there for Bullet. That is a matchup which you just look at it and you're like, this Nilfgaard deck should win this. And with that, we have a game 5 on our hands. I don't know what it is, but like, so many of the series this weekend, maybe, it's only been 1 game so far this weekend. I'm counting it. So many games this weekend, and I think maybe all but 1 that I casted last weekend have gone to game 5, basically. It's, yeah, been a lot of very long series. Okay, so the remaining decks are going to be Deathwish for Darren and the Northern Realms Super Erland for Bullet. And this is interesting, right? Because the Super list has quite limited answers. Can't really deal with the Phoenix, I'd say. Actually, there is a Squirrel, but I don't think the Squirrel's finding a prey onto the prey like. But at the same time, there is no sort of verification. The Heatwave is currently missing from Darren's hand. So Misgenerated into Erland could be quite a big sort of game changer. And if Bullet is able to find similar temple pools, stuff like that Viraxis, like that Baron, Darren could be in for a world of hurt. No temple in the starting hand here for Bullet. Also the Rune Mage is missing. So quite a bit of a worse start, I'd say. Although they do like to see the Margarita, Squirrel, the Heatwave. This is the Dagon for Darren, it looks like. We'll see the infusions coming through. Bridge Troll, Foglet, Succubus, maybe both Succubus. So Giant Toad if you want to sort of pull that out that way. You're only pulling 2 units with Brew's Ritual. So you can afford to be maybe playing your infusions or your Succubus pulls a little differently than if you were on Blue Coin pulling 4 different units. Yeah, it's only 1 Succubus, Bridge Troll, Oglet and Giant Toad. Actually one of the infusions going onto the Slainer Harpy. So here we have Bullet immediately pulling the Temple, wanting to pick the order on the Temple as soon as possible ensure the Anses is just as big as you can get to get the most value on its jewel. You know, announce the jewel nice and early. We love seeing those on the jewel. Okay, so Blade. Philippa's probably the best pool here. The others are not great. His Agoda could be semi-interesting. Actually, not great against Cyclopses. You just take the Go Heart. And Kimball is alright, but I think that's just the Sigismund. It's really good. Oh, it actually does take the Kimball. Okay. So Sigismund would have maybe helped a bit with building up a bit of a bigger Erland and playing a unit if it sticks. Maybe you'd expect Kimball to get a bit more value on a deploy. Here comes the Phoenix. Skrill likely gonna be used to deal with this All of the Depths. But might be wanting to play some other things first here. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, makes sense. Use the Anses pool. Okay, so yes, the infusions for the day won't stick around. They'll give 2 points, but they won't help bring Dagon back. This deity is soon to be forgotten. Now we finally see the Bros Ritual, eaten straight away with Dagon, pulls the both of the infused units that don't naturally have Deathwish. Probably would have liked to have at least one Succubus to set that up for later. Although that can be nicer than Dragon Warrior. Okay, actually, I kind of skipped over the Fortune Teller. Humans coming through onto the Phoenix is kind of huge, so Phoenix is not going to be very helpful. Oh, poor Phoenix. Guess you don't get to revive. You're doomed to. Although, that does force the Fortune Teller to play it on melee road to get value out of that deploy. It does mean that that's only 5 carryover being achieved from Generator so far, and quite a big gap in points already. Surprised, maybe, I guess there's a bit of a fear of this one Cyclops, and this is the thing, when you do run even just one Cyclops in an open deck list, it does change the way you have to play for your opponents. Maybe Bullet, it wants to play the Radovid, maybe even, you know, tactical advantage to protect it from certain things, but then you give a pretty good Cyclops Dagon to kill the Radovid, which, isn't gonna be a great trade for Bullet, I'd say. Actually, it would help catch up a little bit, but still, that's a 5 proc unit answering a pretty big. Yeah, since the Bros Ritual was not able to get any succubuses, we see one of the tutors being burned for Dauron, the Whispering Hillock, used to first succubus out. Here does come the Radovid. We know it will stick, but this would have been pretty nice potential Cyclops, since there's 2 ready-made 6s on board for Dauron. It's quite interesting to me to see the Fortune Teller being used in this list, rather than, say, a Pella. Because if one of your units gets doomed or locked, you can't do anything about it. Whereas the Veil is, yeah, by the time the fortune teller might have been able to put Veil down, it seems that the unit would have just been locked or doomed or whatever. Instead, you see Pella actually being played in Bullet's list. Slayer Harpy losing its infusion, not a big deal, I'd say. Especially since Darren wasn't even playing to achieve the pocket with the bridge troll. Not sure why. Yeah, there's no Pella in. And with that, the point gap was too big. Bullet says, alright, fine. I also don't have any bronze 4-piece to play here. I've established my carryover. You can have win on even. Yeah, you can bleed me, but then you're bleeding into the Ansace. And yeah, I can probably give up my Ansace as long as I'm able to retain Erland for the round 3. And this is a very nice gold heavy hand for Bullet. Probably would have liked the Shoop. You have sort of 2 Toll Punishes, a lock with no answer. Iris's combo is able to give you access to that Shoop. And just as cherry on top, you have 3 leader charges if you wanted to pull any of those spawned bronzes, which were quite a bit of temper with the kind of pulls we saw, like Philippa, the Gerhardt, those played for long. Or the early, I believe, Detloff into Toad into Heatwave. Very similar to the previous game. Now we see Succubus, which no Heatwave for the Succubus, but Margarita might be willing to take a Succubus to Aretusa and lock her away beneath it. Is she gonna enact her plan? Alright. Yeah, and here's the thing. Especially because you're even running Mushy Truffle in this list as well. You're never going to be running out of Succubus. Or you can if you don't draw them, but with the current hand, Darren has so many Succubus and probably not enough consumes, frankly.
I don't have a dirty man.
Able to quite far here. And yeah. See the Shoot being pulled. Granted, with how developed this board is, the Shoot isn't finding that much value with like kind of any Mage Hunt shenanigans. Might just be seeing the Shoot Knight for a lock. Oh wait, Mushy Truffle only doesn't have the option to.
It's not that I'm always
Okay. Oh, gosh. Succubus doesn't actually have the doomed tag itself. What am I? Look, okay, look, guys. I know I've made a couple mistakes in the cast already. It's hard solo casting. And also it is 11:20 p.m, which is not that late, I know, but it's gonna be a late one. Yes, Mushy Truffle is actually only able to pull the Slayer Harvey because while Succubus acts like a bonded card, it doesn't actually have the bonded keyword. Yeah, Mushy Truffle is just an extra consume. I'm sorry for what I said, like with Truffle a couple of times. I'll pull Succubus in this list, but doesn't need to, because instead of going for a lock, Bullet decides to go for the Shoop Resilience, saying, I don't need to deal with the Succubus to catch up this round. Ansace is gonna do it fine, it's alright. Or if I need to commit Erland, that's alright too, I'd rather have this Resilience for next round. Yeah, because you could have locked the Succubus, and that would have very much just halted Darren in their tracks here. Instead, we might see both the Erland and the Ansace being committed. Depends how big this Erland actually is. No, surely Erland isn't, right? Ironically, it's worth more. He actually used the Hunger Leader on this Harpy Egg rather than the Arrakis Queen. Feels a bit silly, but this is 6-point Deathwish, this is 5-point Deathwish. And I think the other problem here is that the rows were not sort of split super well. Running into a few problems with actually only losing one drone. I think it would have been too hard to sort of play in front row as well. I think, yeah, it's alright. Yeah, so yeah, Darren going all in here. Does not have much left for the round 3. And with 2 leader charges, Bullet is able to guarantee access to a Philippa or a Gerhardt round 3, even if they like mold the Ansace away. Has the Shoot Knight resilience. So really the question is, can Bullet catch up here with the Erland and the Ansace? Ansace can play for 23 points. Erland already clicked. Yeah, Ansace does it. So maybe Bullet is now thinking, can I shuffle the Ansace away? Is it worth it? No, just take the Ansace here, catch up, get ahead by 4. You still have 2 leader charges. This basically guarantees you enough golds to sort of have the perfect hand. And yeah, Darren knows that even with the Phoenix, actually no, Phoenix was gone. Yeah, no Phoenix carryover, nothing good to draw. It's just over then and there. The Bullet able to take the win there in the game 5, securing, or mini reverse sweep I'd say. The 2 games won at the end of the series there, onto the Deathwish. Able to beat out the previous rank 1 ladder player in Darren. That does actually mean that Darren is out of this qualifier. The first 3 rounds are single elimination.